Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Good afternoon. This is David Ruzicka. I am Lifestyles Unlimited member and your radio host today. I also teach the free workshop, which is going to come up this Thursday at 8:30 Central Time, and it's going to be online, so you can join me for that. I'm really excited to be with you today because I hear all the time that 70% of all millionaires make their money in real estate. I have no idea. You can fact check that if you want. I have no idea if that's true or not. It sounds true to me. And today I've got a great example of why that could very well be true. I've got a guest today. His name is Tom Tito. Tom is just a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. I feel like the last couple of weeks I've had like mentors, single family or multifamily mentors, but Tom is a guy that just joined Lifestyles Unlimited a couple years ago. He and his wife spent an entire lifetime building a net worth, and then from the time they joined Lifestyles Unlimited, which is just over a little 2 years ago, they have increased that net worth 4 times, 400% increase. What took a lifetime to build, they've increased that 4 times since they started. Their monthly passive income is $8,700 a month. That means income that they make while they sleep. Replaced his income in 2 years with single family investing. So really excited to have Tom with me today. Tom, I want to go ahead and just introduce you to the folks and let people get to know you. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background, your education, what you were doing for a living up until the point you joined Lifestyles Unlimited?
Good afternoon, David. Thank you for having me. And sure, I'm just a regular guy who has been working in the TV news industry for 24 years now, working for corporate America, saving my money through my 401, and just putting my money away. And hopefully by doing that, that I would have enough money for retirement when the time came. So, my wife and I, we've been doing the same thing together now. We've been married for 20 years, and we've been putting our money away. So that's been our retirement strategy for the last 20 years that we've been together, just putting our money away, working for corporate America.
Yeah. Now, I'm kind of curious. I was raised to, go to college, get a good education, and go get a good job with a company. I know people that are raised in an entrepreneurial lifestyle. I mean, their mom or their dad, they're always doing businesses, always making deals, getting money from different places. What about you? How were you raised? What kind of mindset were you raised with?
Well, my parents were your typical middle class that both worked. My dad was a jeweler. My mom worked in retail all her life. And we lived the okay lifestyles, middle-class lifestyles. But, they didn't put money away for retirement, really. So we were never taught, to either put money away or to, have some other kind of income coming in, passively or whatnot. Just say go to school, get a job, hopefully it's a good paying job. And, in the next 30, 40 years, you can retire with some money in the bank account. So, yeah, not much of an education as far as, you should look at other options as income-wise.
You said what you were doing for retirement before you became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. It was just kind of the regular thing. You're going to do some investing in your 401k, IRA, those kinds of things. You did, I remember we talked, you did have a little bit of real estate in your background. I think you said your wife was kind of interested in real estate, but your experience with real estate investing before Lifestyles Unlimited was less than favorable. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, sure. So our first home that my wife and I bought together, we lived in it for 4.5 years. And then when we were ready to get something, move into a bigger house, that we decided to go ahead and rent it out. But of course, at that time, we rented it out, and it was during 2008 where the whole housing bubble crashed. And we were upside down on our house. So we were just trying to at least rent it out for somebody to pay the mortgage and the taxes and insurance and things like that. We weren't really thinking about making money from renting it out. So, we put a tenant in there, and then a few months later, unfortunately, the house catches on fire. So, yeah, can you believe it? Being in TV news, I go to a lot of house fires, and I never thought in my lifetime that I would be going to my own.
Your own house is on fire.
Happening, my own house. So from that point on, it just kind of put it back.
I'm sorry to laugh. I know it's not funny, but it is kind of funny when you say you're a news guy going to houses on fire and then you're your own.
looking back, I can't. That day was just kind of a surreal day that day. But anyway, so it just kind of, I just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth as far as, see, this is why we don't want to rent. I would tell my wife, this is why I don't want to be a rental. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with situations like this. I just don't want to deal with it at all. And for 10 years, that was my mentality. So unfortunately, if I had a better mentality, maybe I would have started investing in real estate if I would have found you guys a lot sooner.
Yeah. And it's amazing how many people I talk to that have that exact kind of experience, because we actually had a house we couldn't sell, just a bad time in the market, and we ended up renting it, and it was a horrible experience. And I thought, I don't know how I could ever do this. I hate dealing with renters. I hate doing all this stuff. And if I had joined Lifestyles during that time, I would have known exactly what I needed to do. And I run into people like that all the time, or people that say they come to Lifestyles and they say, wow, I had some rent houses. I thought I was doing a good job. I realized I could do exponentially greater things through my real estate investing if I just take this education and put it to use with what I already own. So I want to encourage people that are listening. That's why you want to get involved and get some coaching, get some mentoring on those things, because it makes a big difference. So somehow you were kind of on fire. You went to the free workshop. What happened to cause you to all of a sudden say, wow, I need a mindset change. I need to think about real estate, and I need to go to the free workshop?
Well, so, we always lived what you call a good life, for a while, my wife and I. And but she worked in a high stressful job.
Tom, hold right there. We're going to come on the other side of the break. We're listening to Tom, who increases net worth 4 times in just a couple of years through Lifestyles Unlimited. Hang with us to the other side. We're going to hear how he did that.
We're back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're here to answer your questions and help you become financially free.
Hey, this is David Ruzicka with Lifestyles Unlimited Radio. Glad to be with you today, working on your financial freedom. We're talking to Tom Tito today in Houston, Texas, who increased his net worth by 422% in a very short amount of time with no experience at all. Well, actually, negative experience in real estate investing in the past. Tony Robbins says, if you want to change your life, you need to turn your shoulds into musts. And what I asked Tom was, there was something that changed because he wasn't interested in real estate, and then all of a sudden he was. He came to Lifestyles Unlimited, and we're going to go from right there. Tell us how you discovered Lifestyles Unlimited.
So one day I was just driving home, and believe it or not, I tuned into the AM radio looking for Dave Ramsey. And lo and behold, I find Dale on the radio instead. So I started listening to Dale on the radio and started listening to his, talking about how real estate investing is the best way to retirement. And after about 3 days of listening to him on the radio, I decided to go check it out. I said, is this for real? Because I was looking for a way to increase my income, basically, I looked at other venues to increase it, but I didn't, I was looking for something, and it sounded like that was it.
Yeah, and you said one of the things that drove you to was your wife's job. Tell us about that.
So, my wife, she had a nice, a high-paying job, but it was also very high stressful. And, I see her coming home every day, and she was so stressed out from work. And I wanted to help out more. I wanted to increase my personal income, even though I worked for a good company, great benefits, right? But, the income wasn't where I wanted it to be. And if I wanted to increase it, I would either have to find another job or maybe use my skills and go and start my own business. But my thought was I want to increase my income to help her out, to relieve some of that stress. Yeah. How can I do that?
Yeah, and taking another job or starting your own business, that would actually just add to the stress. So, a good call. And so you listened to Dell on the radio, and you came to our free workshop. And folks, when I say a person, what Tony Robbins says about changing your shoulds into musts, Tom is the exact example of that, because he walks into the workshop. He's just a friendly, happy guy. He's sitting there in the front row, and I'm talking. And all of a sudden, somebody from the building comes into our meeting, interrupts our meeting, and says, hey, somebody's car got hit. It's this license plate, whatever, this kind of car. And Tom says, oh, that's me. And he walks out, and I'm thinking, that guy is never coming back. I mean, this is a sign from God. It's a horrible situation. Wow, they have their office is in a building where people hit you when you're parked. You're not even driving. And Tom, tell us what happened and why you came back up.
So I run down there, I see what happened, and you would think so, right? You would think, like, this is a sign. Why am I even here? But no, actually the opposite. I took care of we exchanged information, and I couldn't get, I wanted to get up there back to the office and listen to what you had to say as fast as I could, because I wanted to know if this lifestyle was the avenue that I was looking for, and I was so excited to go back upstairs and listen to it. That little incident right there did not make me change my mind one bit. So I ran back up there and listened to what lifestyle had to say.
Yeah, I remember when you came back in, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Sometimes doing the free workshop is just a blast. I always enjoy it because I enjoy talking, whatever. But It was awesome when you came back in. And so you joined that night. And then, folks, if you're listening, what happens is people go to the free workshop, which, like I said, I'm doing the one this Thursday at 8:30 Central Time. You can go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for the workshop. There are other workshops during the week as well. You can sign up for any of them. There are a couple of other presenters, and they're all great. But I'm going to be doing it. If you want to hear me, it's 8:30 Central Time. You can actually see what I look like. So then the next step is to go to that 2-day class. That is 16 hours of single-family and multifamily investing, how to locate, negotiate, rehab, manage, and lease both single-family and multifamily properties. And so, Tom, you went to that, and tell us, what were your aha moments as you sat through that 2 days? And it was Dell that taught the class when you did it, correct?
It was, yes. Sitting there Saturday, the first day, learning all about single family. And as the day progressed, learning more and more about what it took to run rental properties, I could not believe how easily it was, given the right education, the right roadmap. And I was astonished as to, I'm thinking in the back of my mind going, for 10 years, I was discouraged from doing rental property because of my bad experience. But knowing and learning that day how easily it was, if done correctly, I was just kind of, kicking myself in the butt for not doing it sooner. And then second day on Sunday, learning multifamily, my aha moment was the numbers. When they were doing numbers as far as the equity capture on properties and how you take a property and you increase the value, and just the numbers were so astronomical, I was just bored to see how quickly somebody could retire. Now I know why somebody could retire so quickly by doing multifamily as well. And just the numbers were so astonishing to me that anyone can do it, really. And I thought maybe corporations were the only ones running apartment complexes, but no, that was not the case.
A lot of individuals running apartment communities all across the United States that are Lifestyles members. Looking back at how you did your previous rental, I'm guessing you had some aha moments thinking about, okay, I did these things wrong. But you actually had a beach rental, and after joining Lifestyles, what did you do with that?
So we had a beach rental, and we used it as a short-term rental. It was the second home that we bought, but we decided to make a little money on the side by doing short-term rentals. And so we did, and I kept it when I first joined Lifestyle. But after learning how to correctly do it and how we were not making the money that we should be making on it, we decided to go ahead and liquidate that asset and buy some more rental property. Just learning that, okay, we're not running this correctly either. So, again, the education that I will start with Lifestyles, it helps you so much understanding how the proper way of running a rental property and how you profit from it, how you be able to make some cash flow from it. And we were just not doing it correctly. We're putting too much money into expenses. So.
Yeah. One thing we say a lot is it's not about making more money. It's about making your money work for you more effectively so you amass enough passive streams of income to meet or exceed your bills. And so you went from the 2-day class, and how long did it take you to find your first property?
I went to the 2-day class. I went through the tutorials online, and within a month, I was buying my first single-family property. And a month later, I was buying my second single-family property. And then a month later, I was buying the third family property. And I think that's when my wife said, hey, pump the brakes. Let's get these houses up and running first before you go running crazy and buying more properties. And
right, because you were not even finished with the rehab on one before you were buying another. You were just going from one.
I was just buying one after another after another. It's kind of funny, David, that you kind of get this, addiction, and I don't like to say that in a negative way. You get this little thrill about acquiring property that I've never experienced before, but that was great. I liked it. The whole process of acquiring, dealing, negotiating the deal, and then finally closing on the deal. That was a rush.
You had a lot of good education helping you along the way. On the other side of the break, when we get back, we continue to talk to Tom, who, as I said before, and I need to ask him exactly how long, but he retired himself. He replaced his income in less than 3 years, and closer to 2, I believe. So we'll talk about that when we get back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Hey, this is David Ruzicka with Lifestyles Unlimited Radio. We are working on your financial freedom with Tom Tito today, Lifestyles member. I mentioned an article the other day, a couple of weeks ago, actually, March 16th from Forbes magazine. It said, beginning to invest in real estate, these are the mistakes you must avoid. And the number one mistake is being afraid to take action. I will tell you, that's the number one hindrance for people. Most people that I talk to, especially in the last year and a half during COVID, it's amazing how many people say, oh, no, I'm going to wait a while. Actually, Lifestyles Unlimited members have closed more multifamily deals during 2020 than they have in any other year. So deals are happening. People are investing. People are moving forward. And so, Tom, remind me when you joined. What year was that you joined?
September of 2018.
So you had your first house in about October of 2018. And how long did it take you to replace your income?
So I would say close to 2 years. It took me about 21 months to replace my income.
You realize that's crazy. That's just amazing. That really is amazing. And so walk us through your first property. I mean, were you afraid as you went into that? Because you certainly were not afraid to take action. So you get that first property. Were you afraid at all? Kind of walk us through what happened. What were the steps that you took from A to Z getting that property leased and some tenant in there?
So, going through the teachings of Lifestyles, you learn basically what you need to do. Once I went through tutorial, I felt comfortable enough that I was ready to do my first purchase. And then I put my team together. We talk about putting your team together, whether it be your lenders, whether it be your insurance company, your general contractors. You have those people in place ready to go. So when you are ready to make a purchase to get your first property, those people who are ready with you, ready to go as well. So my first property was in Texas City, single-family home, and it's one of those houses that, when you walk into it, you want to turn around and run away. But knowing, expecting something like that, because I learned so much through Lifestyles, I wasn't afraid.
Be specific. Why did you want to run away?
Well, just holes in the walls, ceiling falling in, everything that you can imagine on a house being, looking almost destroyed. This was the house. But it didn't discourage me because I knew that by the time I finished putting it together, it was going to look 100% much better than, when we first started with. And again, it all comes back to the educational lifestyle, knowing that having the right people, we'll put this property together. We'll get it. We'll get the loan on it. We'll get it leased. And what I did is, I use Lifestyles resources to the utmost. I have with my team, they're able to help me to acquire properties, put them together, finance them, insure them, and put good tenants in there as well. Yeah, you can go out and you can do it on your own, but I felt that being a first-time investor, I wanted to use Lifestyles resources the most possible so I can get a good start on investing. And that's what I did.
That's great.
We put that house together, and we got a tenant in there. Even before we finished renovating, we're already getting an applicant.
So did you start advertising that for lease as soon as you started the rehab?
We stuck a for lease sign in the front yard as soon as we started rehabbing it. And I put a for lease sign on the front yard, and I was driving away, and I was already getting phone calls. And within that first week, I must have gotten about 16 phone calls asking about the property.
My guess is there's some people listening right now, and you're thinking, that's my biggest fear is I'm going to have this property, I'm going to rehab it, I'm going to get it ready to go, but then I won't be able to lease it. What we teach you at Lifestyles is how to analyze the property and make sure you have the best product at the best price. So as soon as that rehab is done, you've got a tenant moving in and you are ready to go. The other thing that you said there, Tom, you talked about how you walk in and it makes you want to run away. I remember I went to a road trip when I just joined Lifestyles, and it was a house that was undergoing rehab, and I walked in and I thought, oh my goodness, if I had seen this, I never would have bought this. I would have been scared to death. And yet it's that really bad smell that you smell when you walk into a house like that, and you see maybe animals have been in there and they've gone to the bathroom on the floor, or there's no floor. It's just cement and there's holes in the walls. There's stuff spray painted on the walls and it just looks horrible. That is the smell of money, because that's where you're going to get that great equity capture, that great capital gain on the equity capture when you purchase the property. And so Tom, you have no experience. This is your first time doing this. Can you share with us, do you remember on that first property kind of what your cash flow, your cash on cash return was and your equity capture?
So On that one, I believe we bought it for around $49,000. I think it was a $40,000 renovation job. And so we captured about $30,000 on that. And our cash on cash was about 23% on that property. Just finished refining that property last month, and it even went up in value to about $135,000. So I even got more equity built in there.
You have over 100% return on that property, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And when did you ever get 100% return in about 2 years in your 401k?
I don't think I have yet.
Yeah, okay. And when did you, and your 401k, does it pay you any cash flow? Does it pay you 20% plus cash flow?
I haven't seen a check in the mail so far from them, no.
No, because the government won't let you. The government is in control of your 401k. They're going to tell you what you're going to do with it and how you're going to do it, and they'll let you have it when you turn 59 and a half. So, folks, that is the beauty of real estate investing, is you make money in so many different ways, and that's what Tom did. Tell us, how many houses do you have now?
So we bought 10 single-family properties, the maximum that we're allowed through Fannie Freddie Mac loans.
Let me interrupt you right there. So Fannie Mae will loan to an individual. You can get 10 loans. You can do it if you do. Husband gets 10 and wife gets 10. You can do it that way as well. But 10 is the max. So that's what Tom is talking about. So continue on.
Exactly. So right now we have, not 10, 9 properties, because our primary residence is number 10. So we bought 9 properties, right, equaling 12 rental doors. And with that, I have a duplex in there, and I have a triplex in there as well as part of my portfolio. So 9 properties and 12 rental doors total. And I did that just over 2 years.
During the 2-day class, David Fisher says this, Dell says this. He says, turn to the back of the book. One of the first things he says, write down, I didn't do what Dell told me to do, or I didn't do what David Fisher told me to do. Did you make any mistakes on those properties?
I can think of one, and and the only thing I can say is when you go through the property, you go through the due diligence process. You're checking out this property. Make sure you do a good job looking through everything. There's one property, even though the toilets were flushing fine and the water was draining fine, I didn't bother checking the drain line. And unfortunately, a few months later, there was a crack in the drain line, and that's something that I could have done while under the rehab phase. I could have just, had my plumber send the camera down the drain line just to make sure everything was working properly, but I didn't. So that was the only big mistake, and unfortunately, it kind of cost me a little bit, afterwards.
Sure.
But I learned from there, and from that point on, every other property that I looked at it under, with a microscope.
And so, folks, I want you to really hear what he's saying, because David Fisher says that every time. He says, be sure and scope those lines, make sure you don't have any issues there, or there's some other kind of balloon pressure test that you can do. And everybody I have on here, because I've had a couple of mentors on, I asked them the same question, and they say, every mistake I made is because I didn't do what Dell told me to do. I got loose on something along the way. I didn't do something that I was taught to do. If you do follow the map, you will do well. Stay with us through the break. We're with Tom Tito, who replaced his income in 2 years.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Hey, welcome back to Lifestyles Unlimited with David Ruzicka, where we are working on your financial freedom. We just talked before the break. We're talking with Tom Tito, who quadrupled his net worth. He and his wife quadrupled their net worth in about 2 years and replaced his income with no real estate background at all, no real estate experience. Well, actually, a little bit of negative real estate experience in the background. That was it on one house. People have approached real estate with so many fears. How am I going to be able to lease the property? What if I can't lease the property? What if I have huge repair issues? How am I going to screen my tenants? How will I make sure I have good tenants? I'm going to take this property that's beat up on the outside, it's beat up on the inside, and then I'm going to fix it up and I'm going to let somebody else live in it. That sounds horrifying to me, to do that kind of thing. And as Tom just shared, we train you and we set it out so perfectly that if you just follow the map, you will be successful. I had a mentor on with Lifestyles Unlimited a couple of weeks ago, and he finds in the Dallas area houses with 300% equity capture, very little money out of pocket. I mean, just does an amazing job. And he told me, he said, every time he's made a mistake, it's because he didn't follow the map. He didn't do what Dell told him to do. He didn't do what David Fisher told him to do. You can get those kind of returns. And so Tom went out and bought just 1, 2, 3 properties in a row, month 1, month 2, month 3, after joining Lifestyles Unlimited. Tom, kind of walk us through, come back in and kind of walk us through the first 3 properties, just a thumbnail sketch of how that went for you and how you felt at the end of the third property.
Well, again, with the proper training and the right team, it made it so much easier to do so. I bought the first property. I had that one going rehab-wise. My realtor, he showed me a second property also in Texas City. We ran the numbers. The numbers looked good. And we made an offer, and they accepted it. I had my team ready to go as well, and they started on the second rehab. And then on the third property, it was in Hitchcock, and that was a flooded property. So, first you kind of get used to buying properties that are distressed, whether it has the smell, the funny smell, or the holes in the wall. But this one was a true flooded property. So now I'm like, do I really want to get into this? But I knew that, again, with the right team in place and with the right education, we can get this property going. And the thing about this property is I turned it down the first time it was offered to me because it was, again, a flooded property. I said, I do not want to deal with this. And then after the next day, I was like, I should have taken it. And for some reason, it came back around. The second person, he thought he wanted it, but he did not. So my realtor offered, he came back to me and said, hey, this property is available again. And then I decided I'm going to jump on it. Not only did we jump on it, we got $3,000 less off the purchase price, and we have captured that house right there has been astronomical. It at a price, the ARV, which is the after repair value, came in at $139,000. I purchased it for $35,000 and put $50,000 of rehab into it. So you're talking about a great return. That property that's been a cash cow, you can say.
Yeah, and folks, that's not a high-risk deal. That's a deal where you've got people who have lots of experience are holding you by the hand and walking you through that. I mean, if Tom has a problem, he's got a mentor that he can call and say, hey, what do I do in this situation? If he says, wow, I'm in a point where I don't have the experience, I'm not sure what to do, he's got a realtor that he can talk to. He has all these people on his team, contractor, that are walking him through this. So we're not talking about going to Vegas and, rolling the dice and hope we get a 300% return. We're talking about retiring yourself in a couple of years because you're buying properties and you're getting 100% return on the equity capture as you walk into the deal. That's not gambling. That's not speculating. We leave that for Vegas and Wall Street because in our mind, that is the same as gambling. So you've got those first 3 properties. That sounds tremendous. Tell us about, do you have any significant stories out of your investing experience? All
I can say is, David, it's been a great experience now that I, investing in real estate, because before where I was afraid, thinking that real estate investing was too hard, it's too much trouble, it's not for the everyday Joe. It's completely the opposite. Once I was properly trained through Lifestyles and mentored, it's easy. You don't know what you don't know, right, until you learn it. And it's been a great experience as far as just being able to do this now with the confidence that I have that I've gained through Lifestyles.
Yeah, you said the other day, everything I said I couldn't do, I did.
I did.
That is a significant sentence right there. Everything I said I couldn't do, I did, and did it because of Lifestyles.
Exactly right.
Tell us about your favorite deal. You talked to me the other day about a triplex.
I bought this triplex. It was already tenant occupied, but I found it on HAR, I believe. We went after it. They were asking a little bit too much, but we got it under contract. We did the inspection. That came back with a few issues. We went back to the table, negotiated, and we got it down $17,000. So I was happy about that. So once the appraisal came in, not only did we lower the purchase price, the appraisal came back $12,000 higher than we expected. So the equity capture right there when we closed the deal was almost $50,000. And we were just amazed how everything just kind of worked out for that particular property. I have great renters in there. I know that when you're going through and putting renters, you should know who they are. But I felt that this property, we did talk to the seller about the renters. I did check out their applications. I did check out the backgrounds. So even though I personally didn't put them in there, I felt comfortable enough to buy this property, even though it was already tenant occupied. And when the numbers all came in, it was the best deal I've done so far, it seems.
So you had 100% equity capture. And folks, here's the thing. Here's why that's so amazing. Generally, duplex, fourplex, triplex, you're not going to get a big capital gain because the only person you can sell that to is another investor. And so you're going to buy those for cash flow. That's really why you buy them. And yet here Tom has one with 100% equity capture walking into the deal. Again, not gambling, not speculating. This is the deal as he walks into the property. Now, let's jump real quick. We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to walk through. You decided to go from here and go into multifamily. So you're really, that sounds complex and scary to a lot of people. Tell us about that and what your experience is.
So after we were done, well, not done, but after we hit our limit with single family, then I turned to multifamily. All right. With single family, I was able to raise enough cash flow to replace my income. Now, I wanted to have big write-offs. You know, with real estate investing, one of the great benefits is that you get a great tax write-off. So I was starting to look for a multifamily property that I can buy. I can learn how to run myself, and I felt comfortable enough to do that because I've been running my single-family property, self-managing it myself. So I felt comfortable enough to go ahead and make the next step into buying a multifamily. And, through Lifestyles Realtor, we were able to find this great property in Huntsville. It was a 19-unit. It was a 1983 built. It was fully occupied. We ran the numbers on those things, and it met my criteria. It hit every point that I was looking for in a property. The only thing was it was a little bit further than I would like, but I bought it from the previous owners, and they ran it perfectly. They had their team in place, which I luckily was able to inherit them with a great maintenance man and all the different vendors that I would need in order to run that property from Houston. So it was just, you would say it was a unicorn. It was just one of those unicorn deals. Everything worked out in the end, the whole process of acquiring the property. And now I bought that in November of 2020, last year, even COVID.
Uh-huh. You bought it during COVID?
I did.
That's crazy. Nobody does that.
Nobody. You would think everybody would pump the brakes on investing, but no, I was like, nope, that COVID's not going to slow me down. No, sir.
That's great.
So
and that's the right attitude.
It's been a great fight.
And so you told me that is paying you 12% cash on cash. And so I would ask the people listening, when's the last time you bought a stock that paid you 12% dividend? When's the last time your mutual fund gave you any dividend? When's the last time your 401k gave you any dividend? And you said you're expecting a 117% return in 3 years?
117 in 3 years, yes, sir. We're right now, if there was the good thing about the property, there was no major deferred maintenance on it. The only thing that I'm doing right now is updating the units as they become available. And within the 3 years, according to my plan, if everything works out, I should be getting 117% return on my investment.
That's so exciting. And one thing, Tom, you said it was a little bit further than you wanted. And I want to tell people, folks, we teach you how to evaluate property and make sure that you're going to make money on it so you can retire yourself in 5 years or less. And one thing we say is that people come and say, well, I only want to buy a property in this neighborhood. Well, then good luck with that. No, you want to buy a property where the numbers make sense. That's all that matters. Do the numbers make sense? No, you don't want to buy a property that has wimp bars on all the windows, but you want to buy where the numbers make sense. And we're going to teach you how to retire in 5 years or less. So go to the website, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. Sign up for that workshop. Like I said, I'll be teaching this Thursday, April 8th at 8:30 Central Time. Love to have you join me for that. But the other guys are even better than me. So go ahead and get signed up. Glad you're with us. Thanks so much again to Tom Tito. Really enjoyed talking to you today. Love seeing you around Lifestyles. You guys have a great afternoon.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.